Welcome, ladies, to the Real Estate InvestHER Show, providing inspiration, strategies, and insight to empower women investors to live balanced and financially free lives. Now, here are your co-hosts, Liz and Andressa.
Two words that come to mind for our interview today with Rita Medeiros is massive and passive. After being a nurse for many years, she became frustrated when she learned how much her retirement income would be. So Rita decided to take her destiny in her own hands and took a massive action to buy 21 out-of-state properties in 11 months. We cover so much with Rita on today's show, including how to really invest and rehab properties out of state, how to build a remote team long distance, the power of perseverance and networking, and why worrying is useless. Welcome back, ladies. This is Liz.
And this is Andressa.
Welcome back to the Real Estate InvestHER Show. And we have Rita on today's interview. We're excited to have Rita. Rita, welcome.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Yeah, we're going to jump into her story, which in a moment here. And just wanted to get connected to everyone. And Andressa, you're doing well?
Yes.
Good.
Very well.
Good. We always like to get connected to everyone before we jump into our guest story and all the wonderful things we're going to get into here in the show. Today, I went to an early morning spinning class. Okay,
look at you.
I know, right?
What time?
5:45 class. Yeah, 5:45 class. So I hadn't gone in a while. I get up early and I tend to do work in the morning because it's quiet time. And I said, I have not gotten to the gym in a while. So I made a commitment. I went to the spinning class. And the guy's, getting you going and you're kind of getting in your head, getting out of your head and like, okay, I'm here working out. And the guy goes, the instructor says, before we begin, I want to ask you a question. What is your intention with this class? And I'm like, my intention, I'm like, that's powerful. I'm like, just here to work out, And he's like, no, what's your intention? And he's like, here's the thing. If you don't know what your intention is in doing something, then when you want to quit, halfway through this class, that intention is going to pull you out, motivate you to end powerfully and to finish powerfully. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know I was going to get motivated here at the spinning class, Then that got me thinking, do I go into every meeting, right? And every segment of my day with an intention? Our podcast, everything we're up to with our InvestHER community, all of my to-dos, am I going in with an intention? I'm like, that really inspired me. I'm like, I want to go in everything today with an intention, a positive intention. So I just wanted to share that. I didn't think the spin instructor was going to, pump me up as much, but I was really inspired by that.
Yeah. When we think about real estate and why do we invest in real estate, right? The intention behind it will pull us through all the issues with contractors, with deals that fall through and all the perseverance.
Yeah.
So kudos for your instructor.
Yeah. I went up to him and I said, thank you so much for the inspiration. And he's like, if I don't say those kinds of things, then I forget them. So I do it as well for myself. I said, that's a very good point, right? We teach what we want to learn. So without further ado, I was like, that's very awesome. I'm like, you should speak professionally. Without further ado, Rita, thanks again for being on our show. We love to ask all the ladies that we interview, these amazing women we interview, what propelled you to get into real estate investing? What for you really got you kind of hooked into this business? And I know you've grown quite a bit of a portfolio for yourself.
Well, my grandparents owned a duplex, and you would think that I would have been smart enough to get into real estate and follow in their footsteps at that point. But unfortunately, I was not, and I did not. And I bought into going to school, going to college, getting a great career, getting a good education, and I took that route. And I was going along fine with a nice house, a nice car, a nice family, until the fateful day where I thought, how about retirement? What am I going to do about my retirement? And I made that fateful phone call where I called Social Security Administration. And I just happened to ask them, what will my benefits look like? And they looked it up and they said, well, Miss Medeiros, you're going to have the grand total of under $2,000 a month to retire. And I thought, oh my God. I mean, I had done all the correct things in terms of 401ks, IRAs and whatnot, but I thought, I don't know about you ladies, but I've had shoes and purses that are worth just about that. And I thought, how on earth will I live on that? And that was the fateful day that I said, you know what? I need massive and passive income, and I need to get into real estate. We all know that real estate's out there, but that was the switch that took off in my brain, that I needed to make up and create retirement, massive and passive income.
Wow. And after that, if you can walk us through, what were your first actions that you took?
My first actions were to research a little bit, and I was amazed to find out that there was a cottage industry that had grown up in terms of out-of-state investing, massive portfolios. It wasn't just a small mom and pop anymore. So I thought, you know what? Other people have done this. I too can do that. So I jumped into out-of-state investing. I purchased my first single family home, and then just did another one and ended up purchasing 21 single family homes in the next 11 months.
Yeah, and out-of-state investing, so there's a lot to that, right? I mean, and people, you hear so much on like the forums and, Facebook groups, and how people are often outpriced in their local market, and they're like, I don't think I want to invest locally. I want to go, to where some of the other markets are growing, and things I've heard. But then they get stopped, right? Because they don't live there. They got to get on an airplane to get there, and they get stopped with just the process. So not just finding a good deal, but then it's managing the renovations and having somebody have the boots on the ground and making sure the property's being taken care of well. So how did you navigate that, right? Because it's a big thing to A, invest, but then B, to invest in a property that you don't even live close to. So how did you navigate that?
First, I felt I needed boots on the ground. So I went to a realtor first to look at the properties. I went through 2 realtors until I found a hungry realtor. And that was just someone that was responsive to me, that would send me enough listings, that understood my price parameters, understood the geographical location. So to me, I felt the realtor was the easiest part of that team to put together, because they're out there, they're prevalent. You can find out if they're hungry, if they want to work with you or not. You can go through them. It doesn't cost a lot to work with a realtor. So I felt that was the easiest piece to put together, was finding a great realtor.
Mm-hmm. Rita, and you mentioned the amount of houses that you purchased within a considerable short period of time. For the ladies that are listening to us and they're thinking, oh, I'm getting ready to get ready, and then I'll be ready someday to purchase my first house. What are the step-by-step that you took financially, educational side, for you to purchase that amount? How many did you do? Like 20?
21 in 11 months.
21 in 11 months. How did you manage to purchase all of those?
I started with a passion. I was absolutely serious about building a portfolio. So I threw myself into education. I read 50 books in that first year. I listened to 350 podcasts. I went to all the different local RIAs. I went to weekend functions, to Miami, to Philadelphia, to Denver. I really immersed myself because I had a lot of catching up to do. And I was very excited about this real estate endeavor, and I was quite passionate about it. So that was the first step, was education. But I didn't wait to start my building of the business until I was totally educated. I kind of went along as I learned. So as I was learning, then I started calling lenders, and I actually ended up calling 85 lenders before I found one that was willing to work with me, because again, I was out of state. So I started first calling Florida lenders, and they didn't want me because I was out of state. So I had to, but I always look back and think, what if I had stopped at lender number 84? I would never have been able to find a lender that would work with me and give me 10 loans. So what was the
challenges? What was the challenges, Rita, that they had with that scenario?
I was inexperienced. Challenge number one, I didn't have a track record behind me. That was a big one. I wasn't interested in the seasoning. I wanted to hurry up and get going.
Yeah.
The out-of-state barrier was another. The Florida lenders were willing to lend to me, but not out of state. So it was, now I'm more educated. I know more about portfolio lenders and all, but I just started calling community banks, credit unions, all the different banks. I just sat down one day and Googled, and I kept Googling names until I found a bank that was willing to work with me. And then I was off and running.
I mean, that's super impressive. So like, first, let me just dissect this first. So massive is the word that you said, and that's obviously what you did. Like, not just a book. You didn't just read a book or listen to a podcast, right? You said you read 50 books. That's really impressive, right? So that's huge, and that's clear. You clearly immersed yourself, and then from a lending perspective, that's obviously one of the biggest steps that people start looking for deals first, and that's not what you said. You said you called lenders first. And I think that's kudos to you, because people get so into the deals and the property, but in this market, if you can't move quickly, you're not going to have that deal. So you got to have the money lined up, whether it's private money or institutional money, your own money, who's ever money, but that's got to be lined up first. So I love that you did that. And then to call 85 lenders, right? I mean, that's not like 5 or 10. I mean, that's like 85. Like, I'm thinking in my head, wow, like I used to do cold calling, and to call 85 people is impressive, right? So walk us through that. Like, how did you deal with because like you got a lot of no's there. What made you keep calling? I mean, like, I would have, like, most people stop. They stop quickly. They stop like, this isn't going to work. I need to move on. Like, what in you kept you going?
I think what really encouraged me was the fact that I was going to local RIAs and I was participating, and I thought, if someone else has done this, I know that I can do it. Mm-hmm. And it might take me 85 calls, it might take me 185, but if someone else has paved the way, then I know I can follow in their footsteps. I might have to work a little harder, I might have to go a little longer, but all I needed to see was the example. And that's what encouraged me and fueled me and kept me passionate about, I know I can do this.
Wow. It's like the word perseverance comes to my mind right now. And sometimes I think that's what, I don't know if it's lack of perseverance or wrong expectations that some folks have when they start real estate and they see a lot of, HGTV shows, and they might think, oh, I'm going to make 5 calls, or, oh, I look at 10 houses, none of them went well. Like, your mindset, you think that you acquired that during that period, or all your life and the examples that you had in your life, the circumstances that you had in your life, those also contribute for you to have this tenacity to get it done?
I think that was probably a character trait that I've carried within myself. Maybe not to this degree, because I've never been as passionate about anything up until this real estate business, but I also always had that sense of perseverance and consistency in my life. And I've always just thought, if someone else has accomplished something, if I put in more effort than I ought to be able to get to the same level.
Got it. So for the ladies that are listening to us, and sometimes they don't have the self-confidence or the perseverance or examples in their lives, what would you tell the lady that is just like, I'm about to quit this thing? I'm not cut for this. I cannot see the light at the end of the tunnel. What would you tell her?
I would encourage anyone to just hang around other like-minded individuals. It will rub off. If we don't have that confidence yet, if we can position ourselves next to someone else who has already done something, then we start to gain that enthusiasm from them. I'm going to a luncheon today. I'm going to an event tonight. I'm always in the process of learning and positioning myself around people, hopefully who are more experienced, more knowledgeable than I am, because I get excited about their successes. And I think, oh boy, I can do that down the road also. So just keep hanging around others who have accomplished what we wish to accomplish. Yeah,
no, absolutely. So I'm curious, because I love these numbers that you're sharing. So the 50 books, you're immersing yourself, the 85 lenders, you're on to 84, and you're probably scratching your head, but you kept going. So what did that 85th lender say to you? What was there? Okay. Like how did you find them? Where did you find them? Where were they located?
They were a nationwide lender. I think they were in Minnesota, but they lended in all 50 states. And the most important thing was they said yes. And they gave me a great rate, and they just started working with me, and I just submitted all my material to them. But they were used to doing this, and they didn't say no to me. And I thought, wow, I just stumbled across the right formula. It was kind of Rubik's Cube of just trying to get the right. And once it clicked, then it was really easy. I just fell into the flow of submitting documents. They stamped it. They said, okay, there are your 10 loans. There you go. And it was relatively easy once I hit the correct formula.
Wow.
So you got your money lined up. You got the lender lined up. What was your next step? How did you actually start looking for properties in areas that you don't live? With this realtor contact?
Yes, I'd never met the realtor. We just worked by phone, and I've only been to my geographic area one time. I've owned properties that I've never seen because I decided to put together my team, and my team consists of a realtor who was pretty much a go-getter and hungry. That was critical. And then I felt rock stars would lead me to other rock stars, and they did. The realtor led me to a title company, who led me to an insurance agent, who led me to a property management company, who led me to a couple of contractors. So by working with strong people, I would continually ask questions. Who do you know in the field? And they would lead me to other rock stars. Some of them worked out for a while. For example, I'm on my second property manager. Great. I'm on my third contractor, but everyone led me to someone that was productive, and some worked out better than others.
And being so remote, I'm sorry, Andressa.
No, go ahead.
We have like 95 million questions here. So being so remote, how did you manage the communication, right? So how did you know they were doing what they said they were going to do, especially from a, contractor perspective and property management perspective?
I often feel that we are investing in real estate in the best time ever because of the tools that we have at our fingertips. And that's namely our telephone. We have the internet that enables us to find realtors, to find contractors, to get photos, to get quotes. We don't need to be standing side by side. We can Skype. So to me, I just utilize the internet as one of the most powerful tools to get that information, so I can get before and after photos. I separated out the contracting piece from my property manager so I would have a little bit more oversight. I didn't like the fact that perhaps the property manager was upcharging to some degree. So I took out the contracting part, found my own contractor, but then my property manager goes and checks on the work there. So there's a double, so I don't get photos of someone else's house that doesn't exist, how that can go. So I think there's always checks and balances. You just need to be a little creative and, not be too scared. Get out there, utilize the internet, utilize the people, the boots on the ground, the realtor, the team that we do have in place. And it is manageable and it is workable. I've completed 21 rehabs long distance.
Wow. And during that process, what was the biggest challenge or lesson that you learned? I wouldn't say a mistake. I would say a lesson. What lesson did it cost you most, or did you learn the most?
I think my biggest lesson was not to quit and to just continue to persevere. Of course, I had my moments where I thought, my God, can I actually do this? Will I be able to accomplish this? And I would just push that self-doubt away. And I thought, no, I really need to persevere. And the smaller lessons, when I would end up overpaying for something, or I would complete a rehab and then I would have a break-in, and I thought, rather than let it break my heart, to me, my message to myself was always, any problem I could throw money at was not a real problem at all. And I would just keep persevering. And I thought, okay, I had a break in, fine. Fix the windows, fix it up, move on to the next problem at hand. So to me, any problem I could just throw money at, it was like, okay, at least that's solvable. No one's hurt. No one's child is injured. It's just a break-in. It's just a broken pipe, whatever it is. I could throw money at it and move on to the next problem at hand.
That's very powerful, that thought, right? Because, there's certain things that we're throwing money at right now in our business. And that thought of, well, you could just put money, into it. It's like, where is this on the emotional scaling perspective, right? Is it from 0 to 10? And I hear what you're saying in that, if you can put money into something to make it go away and make it better, then you move on and you get onto better, onward and upward, so to speak, versus getting so stuck in the problem or stuck in the thinking of this isn't good, and I think that we all can do that. I have done that, and it's not healthy, right? It doesn't help us move through the issue. I think it's a great perspective, and probably has helped you. And when I'm in my good place, that's what I think, and that's what I focus on. When I'm not in the good place, wherever that is, I go into that negative, spiral. So then that's a great perspective. So back to your team. Do you have anyone? This is interesting, especially as we've grown our portfolio out of state. Do you have anyone that has an ownership stake in your properties, or not? I'm just curious.
No, currently I do not have anyone that has ownership stake.
Okay. But the realtor wins because what? They're finding more properties for you, or how is that realtor still involved in terms of just someone making, taking a look at the property, make sure the property manager's doing what they say they're going to do?
Yeah, the realtor, it was a win-win in that they received those 21 commissions. So that realtor loved me. They really like that. They're always emailing me. They want me to purchase more. Absolutely. And that's been a great win-win with the realtor.
And they are all singles or no?
They are all single family homes. My market doesn't really support multifamily in that the areas that do have multifamily, those are really in the war zone.
Where are you at?
In Ohio.
Okay.
So I'm just in the single family and I'm renting them out Section 8. So I'm doing a great, one of my most gratifying moments is the fact that I realized that I'm helping 21 single moms and their young children have safe, affordable housing. And my single moms love the houses because they're in nice neighborhoods. Their children are able to go into decent schools, and typically they end up they plan to stay for the next 12 years while their children are in school.
Beautiful.
Well, let's talk about Section 8 if that's okay, because it's something that we've also, we've had a number of tenants over the years that have had Section 8. So tell us, in your own, from your own perspective, what Section 8 is, because everyone listening may not even know what that is, what it is, and how it affects you as the owner and those sort of things. How does it actually work? I know there's so many different government programs, but we have Section 8 here on the East Coast. So if you do, it must be a national program.
It certainly is a national program, and it's great in that there's such a waiting list and such a demand and need for affordable housing across the United States.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you just go into the program, and once your house is approved, then you go through 2 inspections. And many people look at those inspections as a detriment, like, oh, I'll have to improve this, I'll have to improve that. I look at it as a positive in that my homes will be up to code, they will be well cared for, and they will be, there will be oversight to make sure that my houses are stable and doing well. So I looked at that as a positive. The other thing I like about Section 8 is that the stereotype is, oh, Section 8 tenants will tear up your houses, there'll be damage, and this and that. And I have found the exact opposite, in that if your Section 8 tenant should, by chance, damage your house to some degree, they then risk losing their Section 8 voucher for life. As a result,
is it for life?
For life.
So they're motivated. Yeah, that's actually a good perspective. Yeah.
They are highly motivated then to keep their voucher, to keep take good care of your house, to make sure their kids can stay in school and all. So I found it to be a great program. It's pretty gratifying, and the houses stay up to code because someone is looking at them annually. And I've had nothing but good things to say about. I've never had an eviction yet.
Okay. Knock on wood.
I'm sure that's around the corner, but so far, no evictions. So I've had good experiences, good tenants. It really does come down to the screening of the tenants. But once you have a good tenant in there, it's been a win-win for me.
Can you talk a little bit about how the payment works?
Certainly. Section 8 works on a formula in that they evaluate the tenant depending on their situation. So it's all based on where the tenant is in terms of their work. Do they have a job? And most of my moms do work. What is their income? And then it's a prorated formula. So the government ends up paying maybe 75, 80 to 90% of their monthly rent directly to me. And then the tenant is expected and required to pay their 10 to 20% of the remainder rent, again, directly to me.
Yeah, I'll never forget one of our first Section 8 tenants was a woman in one of our first buildings, and she was just a lovely person, like 10, 12 years ago. And I remember when she sent in her, because what's neat about Section 8 is that the tenants have skin in the game, right? They're sending you a check, and the government's sending you a check, a bigger check, much bigger check. But you could appreciate that on some level, right? If you're paying for something, you're going to, potentially take care of it, even if it's a small amount. So anyway, when she sent her portion in, every time she sent her check in, she would actually send in a prayer every time, every month on the clock. When I think of like my, like these fond memories of tenants, because they're not all like that. So, because we've had our share of evictions, it's too many to count there. But I always think of her, and I think of like how wonderful because she sent this beautiful prayer, and that was when I was receiving all the checks and all the rent checks. So I read the prayer, and I was like, that's wonderful. Well, funny, literally a week ago, 12 years ago, we haven't had her as a tenant. My husband comes home and he's like, you'll never guess who called me. So then I go through I was going through all like the people, a lender, all the people that we want to hear from, right? He's like, nope. And he said the woman's name. I'm not gonna say it on air, but he said the woman's name. I'm like, are you serious? She goes, yeah, she's looking for a new place. She had such a positive experience with us, and she has my cell phone. And not a lot of tenants have my husband's cell phone now. But anyway, he helped her, and we were helping her find a place. If it's not ours, it's somewhere else. So just cool. I was like, that was a nice call to get.
That's so cool.
He caught up with her and chatted. But I think you're raising a great point, Rita, is that you can't go off of what people talk about. You have to go off of people's, really get to know these programs, any of these programs. Don't just hear what people say about them. Learn for yourself, get the positives, get the negatives, talk to people like yourself. And I think people don't do that enough in this business. They just hear hear like little points about it, and then they just make a judgment. And quite honestly, from a Section 8 perspective, from any government program perspective, you cannot discriminate against people. You cannot say, I don't accept Section 8. That's discrimination. That's just like saying, I don't take people that are Indian, right? That's discrimination, right? I don't take people that have a certain sexual orientation. That's discrimination. So it actually is the same level of discrimination if you actually market or tell people verbally or in writing that you don't take people with government programs. It's a protected class. Am I right in saying that, Rita?
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
illegal now to discriminate
Yeah.
against. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you can have your limits on credit. You could have your income limits, right? So you can do all those things, and you have to remain consistent, and you have to have those things in writing. I mean, we still have our rental procedures in writing. It's critical,
Yeah.
but you cannot discriminate against people for that. And I think that's a good thing.
I wanna talk. You mentioned that majority of your tenants are single moms, and I love when we are able to kind of marry our social impact with our real estate goals. So is it possible all the time? Sometimes is not, but if we can make things work, of course we give a lot of work for the contractors and people. We change communities, we improve communities. I do believe that the work that you're doing goes a little bit further, because those ladies have a secure, a safe place, a decent place for them to raise their kids, and that you're kind of like changing and shaping the next generation that does not need to be living in a place that is not healthy for the kids. And when we are able to marry those two things, it's just a good feeling. Did you do that on purpose, or it just happened to be single moms?
I did do that on purpose. I've always heard about the Section 8 program, and I looked into it, and it was certainly there was a demand, and I thought, why not? And now I'm just so gratified by it. I would like to help another 100 single moms down the road. And I just think it's just so important to have safe, affordable housing over people's heads. And I'm just so gratified to be a little small part of that.
Beautiful.
So Rita, you mentioned too, and some of our connections, and certainly some of the things that we were learning about you and your background. You mentioned that you've raised two millennial entrepreneurial kids. You're a single mom yourself. You've been able to invest out of state, a really nice portfolio, a really nice size portfolio, and probably doing a million of other things. And you're shameless plug, but you're one of our meetup leaders in Florida, one of our InvestHER Meetup leaders. So if you want to get to know all of our groups that we're growing, little shameless plug there, go to Meetup and check out all of our groups there, the InvestHER Meetups. But Rita is one of our super valued handful of ladies who are just doing amazing things, growing these communities in different parts of our country. But going back to my question, sorry, got a little sidetracked. But so raising your two kids, being a single mom yourself, building a portfolio. Like, what do you say to the women out there that just that want to raise their kids and build that portfolio? What do you say to them, especially the single moms? So, like, I could only imagine that you have so much to focus on. How do you manage that? What would you tell the women out there that don't see how they're going to make it happen or grow what they want to grow?
I would say just take it day by day and just try to set an example by being consistent in front of one's children, by being entrepreneurial, by being into education. I did this also, by the way, while I still have a full-time job as a psychiatric nurse. So I've always had that work ethic, and I just wanted to be a little bit of an example. And I'm most proud of the fact that my daughter now is starting her real estate portfolio and is quite entrepreneurial. So I'm very gratified and excited because we can talk about all that. But it just started with the education, and she saw me always in a podcast, always in a book, and it just starts with setting that example. And if they want to come along, great. And if they don't, just build that massive and passive income for them as a legacy, as generational legacy for them down the road.
Beautiful. What age is your daughter now?
She is 31.
Okay.
Nice.
And what did you do anything with, like, did you be intentional, like, okay, I'm going to take them and go to this course together? Or was there something that you think, or was it just the exposure, like them watching you, right? My dad always says, he's an educator, and he's like, they do what you do, not what you say. Like, my dad, I have this like voice in my head. They do what you do, not what you say.
Right.
So, and it's true. So I'm curious, like, did you have any sort of like, let me involve them here. This is a great opportunity at this age. Like, what was there any of those types of,
No, I think it was more about the exposure. I'm a big believer in letting people, come to things on their own. And I would just always, put it out there, talk about what I was doing, but never, it took her probably a year to jump in once she saw what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a matter, I think, by leading by example, by showing the way. And if people jump on board, great. And if they're not ready at this point, no worries. Perhaps they'd be ready down the road, and just keep putting one foot in front of the other and doing what you do. And run with those that want to jump on board and run with you.
Nice. And what comes next for you, Rita?
Well, my number is more. That's what I would like to do, is just more. I would like to continue on the path I'm at, work with a portfolio lender, expand. I would like to eventually help 100 single family moms. And I continue every day to work on education. I knew nothing about a self-directed IRA. I was self-taught and learned all about that. I put a number of homes into my self-directed IRA. So I'm always just in wanting to be a student of the game and learn. I go to all the different weekends. I'm going to see you guys in Philadelphia in October. Yeah. And I'm just always trying to learn what's next. And I'm passionate about it. I'm just so excited about this game of real estate. I'm in it for the long haul. And I just want to do more and more, and who knows where it will take me and where it will end up and lead to.
Yeah. I think there's so much value to being a student, like, in this business, right? Because people often will say to someone, and I'll often ask them, like, oh, you're going to that conference? I'm like, yeah, we go to conferences. Yeah, we have to learn. Like, you can't know everything and be in this business. Yeah, I mean,
they're not in our backyard.
I think what makes people successful is that they're a student, and if they're not a student, now there's things that Rita, that you can explain better than anyone. But we're all students and we're all teachers. I mean, if you always come from the teacher perspective, that's dangerous, I think, in any area of your life. Like if I just said, no, we're good. I mean, I would be, that's just, I don't know, maybe it's a woman thing, because obviously our community is women. I think women tend to be more students, although men are. I shouldn't just badmouth them, but it's true though. I think there's a student mentality, and I think that's so important to be successful in anything, let alone this business of real estate investing, because things are always changing. You cannot be good in every aspect of this business. I don't care. Take anyone successful. They're good at something. They're not good at all of them. They usually have a great skill, and then look around them. They're not doing everything. Okay. They're not doing the property managing. They're not doing the construction. Yeah. They're not raising the money. They're not doing it all. They're just not. I don't know anyone like that. No. So I think that's amazing that you have that mentality, and you've been able to build the portfolio that you've built, and you're humble enough to say that. And then also say, yeah, I do know a lot, and I'm super, into the massive, and I love the massive and passive. I mean, that's like, got to trademark that, Rita, massive and passive. But to have that student mentality, and I think that's, it's just admirable. I think that's really, really what makes you successful, quite honestly. So
thank you.
Rita, for the ladies listening that want to learn more about what you're up to and all the great things you're up to, especially your awesome InvestHER Meetup, where can the ladies learn more about you and all the great things you're up to in this investment business?
You can certainly join us at our InvestHER Meetup the last Wednesday in Fort Lauderdale. You can find us on Facebook with that, or also on Bigger Pockets. I'm all over that, and that's probably the best way to contact me. There is where I get a lot of my education.
Great. All of this information you can find on our show notes. Now we're going to transition to our fabulous 3 questions. Are you ready, Rita?
Yes, I am.
All right. The first one is, what's the most transformational book you have ever read?
I think it's How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. That he has 30 worry principles, and I was a certified Dale Carnegie instructor, so I've taught a number of this, and I think that's a big reason why I don't do stress and I don't do worry in my life. It's because I employ a number of these principles every day. I also like a book by Monique Ham. It's Wealth for Women, and it has 20, that's what I'm currently reading, so I like that, 20 interviews with rock star real estate female investors. It's pretty powerful.
Beautiful. The second question is, what's the most powerful routine you do to create a financially free and balanced life?
I feel like if I can win the morning, then I can win the day. I really try to wake up feeling grateful and happy every morning. I wake up and I count my blessings every morning. My children are happy. My children are healthy. So I really start the day with that. And I'm big on consistency. So I move through my day doing a number of small things that will add up to bigger things. So of all the areas of my life that are important to me, I am very consistent in them every day. For example, I'll eat healthy pretty much 3 meals a day, every day. I'll show up at the gym. I do something in my real estate business, something small every single day. So I'm very consistent. I pay attention to my children, and I'm just there trying to be present in the moment and doing a number of small things. I really believe that every day is a blank slate. So I don't beat myself up at the end of the day. Oh, I didn't do this enough. I didn't do my paperwork. I feel like every day is a blank slate. We're all a work in progress. And tomorrow is a brand new opportunity. I can work on those areas that I'm deficient in. But it really starts with me waking up happy, grateful, and starting with counting my blessings every morning.
Definitely. The third question is, which woman, famous or not, has inspired you the most?
I look at, I think, ordinary women, and I'm very inspired by ordinary women doing extraordinary things. For example, I look at my 2 grandmothers who were single moms and raised their children, a set of twins, and they went to work in factories before it was popular to go to work. I look at my mom who went to work at age 64 just to get health benefits for she and my dad. You know, I look at my family, I look at my niece who's a beautiful young lady at 17, and her mom had passed away when she was 3 months old, and she's evolved into an exceptional young lady. I look at my daughter who's stepping into real estate. So I get very inspired by ordinary women doing extraordinary things, such as the women listening to this podcast who are building their real estate business. Those are the people that really fuel me and inspire me every day.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, Rita, you've been so inspiring. I know the fact that you were in the Dale Carnegie, you're a Dale Carnegie speaker. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. It's your way of being, and you're super inspiring. You've inspired me. I know Andressa, I'm sure, as both of us have been super inspired. The ladies listening. So we thank you. We thank you for your time. We thank you for just sharing your wisdom with us and with our community. So thank you for being you.
Thank you. And I'm honored and humbled. And I want to thank both of you for all that you're both are doing to promote women in this real estate space. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rita.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Rita.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to receive updates on our next interviews, go to our website, therealestateinvestor.com. There, you can subscribe to our show, become part of our investor community, and get updates on upcoming episodes.
If you like our show, please share it with other women who would benefit. And don't forget to leave us a rating on iTunes. We'd really appreciate it. And as always, we encourage you to take one action as a result of today's show and put it into motion so you can live both a financially free and balanced life. Thanks for spending time with us.
Ciao.